We have just got a laundry list of specs for the Galaxy S21 Ultra. So Samsung are launching the trio of phones in the S21 series a bit earlier this year. We've got the release dates, basically the full specs for these phones. So here's everything we know about them. First though, if you are looking forward to one of the phones in the S21 series, let me know by liking this video. Also, let me know in the comment section which one exactly you are looking forward to, if any. And also in the description, you can check out today's deals on Amazon. Go and check them out. There are some really good ones, but let's get into the S21 Ultra specs. So after the design leaks that we got from OnLeaks maybe last week, we got our first look at the S21 Ultra, also the S21 Plus, and even the S21. And there are some design changes with these phones, but the Ultra really is carrying on from what it did last year, giving us just a laundry list of very, very high-end specs. So whereas the S21 and S21 Plus are changing from last year, taking away those small curved displays, they're just getting completely flat displays this year. Well, the S21 Ultra, it looks like that is carrying on and keeping with the slight curve around the edges. The S21 Ultra isn't going to be a very heavily curved display like you'd get in the OnePlus 8 Pro. It's going to be way more subtle than that. Anyway, from this huge spec dump from Ishan on Twitter, we now know the exact specifications of the screen. So it's a 6.8-inch AMOLED display, and it's actually something that Samsung called Dynamic AMOLED 2X. That is definitely a very cool name. What does that actually mean? Well, basically this is the name that Samsung are giving to their new screen technology called LTPO, and we've talked about this a lot. So this is the evolution of AMOLED screen technology from LTPS. LTPS the previous gen, LTPO the next gen. Samsung are using this in both the Note 20 Ultra and the Galaxy Z Fold 2. So really the benefit of LTPO technology that's going to be in the S21 Ultra that wasn't in the S20 Ultra is the dynamic refresh rate. So as we know, Android phones, especially the flagships, they've all got high refresh rates. Obviously that takes up more battery. With this LTPO technology, they can turn the refresh rate right down to 1 Hertz. That's 1 refresh rate cycle per second, and all the way up to 120 Hertz, so 120 times per second. The benefits obviously are that if you're using an always on display, you can basically use no battery at all. And then if you're watching things like movies, you don't need the high refresh rate all the time, so it can turn it down and you can basically save way more battery. So the screen on this phone will be a 6.8-inch 2K resolution, 120 Hertz dynamic refresh rate screen. When it comes to the selfie camera, it looks like this is staying exactly the same as we got in the S20 Ultra. Ishan's leak says that the selfie camera is going to be 40 megapixels. This is exactly the same amount of megapixels as we got last time. I really like the selfie camera on the S20 Ultra last year. I thought the images were really contrasty. They looked really good, natural. Yes, we did get a ton of leaks about possibly under panel cameras. That's just not ready yet, at least for primetime phones. We have seen a few Chinese brands come out with these yet. We've also seen that they're just not ready. The screen is affected. You can see a cutout there. Also, image quality is extremely poor. So for those small Chinese brands that can do that, that really don't have any worldwide market share, they want to be first and that's fine. But for Samsung, they just can't do that. There have been rumors that Samsung maybe are readying cameras like this for mid-2021. Certainly not ready for the S21 series though. The battery in this phone is going to be exactly the same as the S20 Ultra as well, so 5,000 milliamp hours. Now, obviously we have the different screen technology, so we should see some battery improvements from that straight off the bat. Also, Samsung have been using 5G in their phones for a while now. This technology is now not the first iteration, so a new modem from Qualcomm should be in here, the X60. So this is manufactured on a smaller node, so battery improvements should be coming from that too. When it comes to the cameras, and wow, the S20 Ultra last year had definitely some mixed reviews, and I agreed with those. Focusing was an issue. I know they tried to update it. It was never perfect. And also dynamic range was simply not as good as other phones from Samsung and others. So it looks like Samsung may be using a different camera sensor this year. Still 108 megapixels. This has been called the HM2 though. We know this does exist. Samsung has made this. They've put it on their website. They've shown us all the specs and what it can do. So it looks like that may be in the Galaxy S21 Ultra. So same high megapixels, but hopefully improvements overall in both focusing and also dynamic range. We've also seen, thanks to OnLeaks, the design changes. So some big changes for this phone. A different type of camera bump design comes in from the side of the chassis. It's like a unibody type of design. I think it looks pretty cool. This has also been confirmed by some hardware leaks we've seen. We know this design change is coming, so definitely looking forward to see that. In terms of the other cameras in there, it looks like Samsung are going to be having a quad camera setup in the S21 Ultra. Again, thanks to OnLeaks. And also Ice Universe information from him. We know now that the main image sensor is 108 megapixels, a 12 megapixel ultra wide, then 2 zoom cameras, a 3x zoom and a 5x periscope zoom. This is, for me, the absolute perfect way to do it. We've seen Huawei do this on a few phones as well, to basically get a middle zoom camera at 3x. The problem with a 5x periscope leading on from the main camera is it's quite a big difference in zoom. And so obviously the main camera has to crop in on its sensor all the way to 4.9, and then you switch over to the periscope zoom. It's not ideal. So having a 3x in between the main and the periscope's perfect. That means that all the way through the zoom range, you should get really high quality. Now we come to the S Pen support rumor. There was rumors that the S20 Ultra may support the S Pen. Well, we have seen from the OnLeaks CAD renders that there is no S Pen in this phone. It won't be like a Note phone where the S Pen is included, but according to Ice Universe, the S21 Ultra will include support for the S Pen. So I'm guessing that if you have an S Pen from a Note phone, you'll be able to use it on the S21 Ultra, but there won't be an S Pen in the phone. I honestly don't know how to react to this or why that would be useful. If you have a friend that has a Note and an S Pen, they'd be able to use your phone. It's kind of weird, but apparently support is coming. Then we come to the chipsets, and it looks like Exynos regions might have some reason to actually be happy this year. So of course, USA, China, and a couple of other markets, you'll be using Qualcomm Snapdragon 875 chipsets, brand new 5nm chipsets, brand new ARM X1 CPU cores. It looks like it's going to be another good upgrade from Qualcomm. But of course, the Exynos chipset has really lagged behind Snapdragon in recent years. This looks to be at least closing the gap this year. So as we know, Samsung have completely ditched their custom CPU cores that were really the issue for them just lagging behind everyone else. They are now using the same ARM X1 CPU core that Snapdragon is using in the 875. It looks to be more or less the same setup in terms of the CPUs, and the GPUs are going to be different. This is obviously very hard to tell right now, but according to some leaks that we've seen, benchmark results, and also Ice Universe, the Snapdragon chipset will still maintain a lead over the Exynos chipset, but the Exynos is catching up, closing the gap, definitely closer than we had last year. Finishing off with the charging specs, there's no differences this year as last year. 25 watt for the S21 and S21 Plus, 45 watt for the S21 Ultra. No improvements or upgrades. As for the launch date of these phones, most leakers are agreeing that the launch date is going to be way earlier than last year, so even in January. It could be because of the Lunar New Year holiday. It's much later next year in 2021, around the middle of February. And that means if Samsung waited for that, it'd be basically March until they release the phones, which is too late. So yeah, we could be seeing these phones launch way earlier than usual in 2021, maybe the middle or end of January. Let's see if Snapdragon can actually get those chips out early enough for those phones. A huge specs leak though on the S21 Ultra, some design changes and some more impressive technologies on the inside though. Let me know all of your thoughts about this one in the comments as always. Thank you for watching this one though. Give it a thumbs up if you did like it, and I'll see you in the next one.